morning, good afternoon, good evening, because I know you are from different continents, different time zones. We have regular people that attend many of our sessions of our IICA and COLEAD sessions. Today is number 18, so we have done a number of them. Today is a very important topic, e-commerce and digital marketing for agri-food products. Before all, you know that we have interpreters. Thanks, IICA, for your support. English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. So just go to the globe. My colleagues are posting also the way in the chat, but the little globe you have at the end, at the bottom of the screen, and choose your language. And you shouldn't have any problem in following in your preferred language. So this session is part of the Agri-Food Partnership Series that we have launched already a few years back with IICA. And they are really looking at, we look at showcasing success stories of Caribbean agri-food entrepreneurs and highlighting as well the support that development partners, today's Caribbean Development Bank and the colleagues from Caribbean Export are bringing to the entrepreneurs beyond, of course, COLEAD and IICA support services. So it's always a very good match. And the topic of today, I just say 2 words because we have a very full program before giving the floor to Allister. It's very timely. It has been very much requested by the surveys we do, by the feedback from participants, that digital technologies, of course, are reshaping the trade today, not only globally, but even more in the Caribbean. And there are tools that are not longer optional, but they are really essential for expanding to markets, for product development, for strengthening customer relations, and really for overcoming, as we saw during the COVID time, structural barriers such as high logistical costs, geographic isolation, and so on. So it can really be an opportunity. It can really open doors for increased visibility of businesses and enterprises, value addition, and new really business models. And we see that producers, entrepreneurs, small and medium enterprises really have developed brands, have built really confidence from some of their customers, and have managed to get this authenticity, quality, and trust feel. Having said that, and I'm sure that the speakers today will highlight it, is not going without challenges. When we say digital opportunities, we might ensure that we don't bring a digital divide or bigger than it's already there, be in digital literacy, digital infrastructure, of course, all the issue of gender inequalities in access to digital. And, that is really inclusive and equitable. It's not easy, but we all have to aim to that. So I think today, the conversation today, as in the previous sessions with different topics, is really to look at practicalities, practical ways, very innovative entrepreneurs and agri-food, value chain actors have developed those tools, and what has been their experience. Of course, it hasn't been without challenges again, but to get inspired about on what they have really done. So I'm very, very happy that you join us today. I am from COLEAD. It's the partner with IICA. We are a private sector association in the agri-food sector across continents. We also implement programs for different development actors and donors. And this particular series are supported by the European Commission, as well as the Organization of Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific States. So thank you, because it's a great opportunity. And, we repeat in each one, but it's because it's really, we are thrilled to work with IICA in those series. Very complementary, skills, networks, everything. And I thank again all the IICA team, because there are many and they are not all on screen, that are helping us in supporting this. So my colleagues will put the programs from our side that you can look online, technical assistance, training, business development, B2B, networks, etc. And you feel free to contact us. But I give the floor to Allister for 2 words on IICA, a key partner with others. We welcome each time partners that we like to work with. But Allister and his team is the ones putting a lot of work. Thank you, Allister, for being with us.
Isolina, thank you, and good morning to the online audience. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Allister Glean. I am the representative in Barbados for the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation and Agriculture, IICA. We are the specialized agency for agriculture in the Americas, and we are excited. We are really pleased to be part of this partnership with COLEAD. We recognize that it's important for us to support the development of small, medium-sized enterprises. We want to enhance competitiveness of the various businesses. And for us at IICA, our priority is enhancing food security in the Americas. We want to encourage persons to come to our offices, to get more information, to get support. And this partnership with COLEAD is so critical to us addressing food security concerns, particularly in the Caribbean region. We recognize also that information is key to enhancing the competitiveness of our businesses in the region and by extension, the Americas. And we know this particular topic is dear to our heart, e-commerce and digital marketing. In fact, IICA has a particular hemispheric program looking specifically at digitalization of agriculture. And we'll talk more about that later on. But we see this topic as leveling the playing field for our small and medium-sized players. Now we see that it's a more affordable approach to getting the word out there, to promoting your business, to link producers and buyers, ensuring proper supply chains, to address various logistical constraints, exploring better ways of payment solutions for businesses. But ultimately, this is a topic that, as I said, allows us to address issues of intra-regional trade, to expand market opportunities, to get your word out there and be able to link across countries, across regions, internationally. And I think it's really wonderful that on this morning we have businesses that spans the region from Trinidad and Tobago up north to the Bahamas. We have support entities that are regional in nature. So I am really excited to hear from some of our businesses. As I said, we have persons further north in Jamaica. So we're going to have an exciting time today. I don't want to spend too much time at the start. I come on later on in the second panel, but I really want to encourage you, join this program, get involved, ask for more information, reach out to COLEAD, reach out to the IICA offices. They're in every country in the Caribbean, across the Americas. We really want to encourage you to join us because information is key for our competitiveness, and only through collaboration we can ensure success. So let me pass back to Isolina. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Allister. And yes, we have links to the programs and projects from IICA and COLEAD that my colleagues will put, and Roxanne and others complement if there are others, and reach out as Allister well said. Before starting with the first speaker as well, my colleagues will put the link, but all the presentations will be shared. There is one link where you can see already part of it. So the presentations of today will be shared. And then the recording of this session will be also sent to you very, very shortly after so don't worry if you miss something or you want a screenshot or whatever, you will receive all the presentations. And as we repeat in all these sessions as well, the presenters, so these wonderful companies, I mean, they can be from IICA network, they can be from COLEAD network, but more importantly, they are just ones that have succeeded from wherever they are, from wherever they come, from whatever the partnership has been with other partners. But if you, I mean, we had plus 400 registered today, so they will receive all the material. If you want, reach us if you want to present, to come to one of the sessions, be a presenter and share your experience. I mean, that's how we work in those series. So without major delay, I start in the first panel is about the entrepreneurs and the opportunities they have, had in the e-commerce and digital marketing. And then Allister will moderate the insights from experts and organizations that support the entrepreneurs. So we will start with Shelly Heaven. Actually, she's founder and CEO from Farm Linkr in Jamaica. Actually, you are very passionate. I mean, you have created this platform to connect farmers, buyers through technology, really to ensure, as Allister was mentioning, consistent supply, better market access, and really win-win solutions, you know, that everybody finds something in these exchanges. And you blend as well, your mission is really to blend innovation, nutrition, and sustainable food systems to empower farmers. And it's so important, you know, in the region, as Allister was mentioning, food security is one of the top priorities. So anything that you know, contributes to that is greatly appreciated. And you have an extensive experience working across as well continents and bringing that wealth of experience. So please, you have the floor to share your experience, Shelly, and thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Isolina. Let me just quickly share my screen. You're seeing my screen?
Yes,
okay.
We see it very well.
All right, so good morning, everyone. And I'm going to be talking to you about digital marketing and e-commerce for agro-produce, and specifically what has been the Farm Linkers experience. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. And at Farm Linkr, we market, sell, and distribute fresh produce. Our mission is to provide a convenient and consistent supply of wholesome and nourishing fresh foods that our people love. We were actually started from back in 2017, and we were purely a B2B multi-vendor e-commerce marketplace at that time. But we saw that we call it Amazon for fresh produce. So we facilitate farmers to be able to get up to speed with their own online store, or anyone that's selling fresh produce in what I like to say in an afternoon. And we found at the time that businesses were not really starting to shop online back then. And so we pivoted our business model and added a direct selling part of the business that we now operate along with the e-commerce marketplace. So our products are distributed and sold in retail stores on island-wide and online via our e-commerce platform, where they're marketed on social media, via search engines, in email marketing, via blog articles, and occasionally with online advertisements. So we sell to supermarkets, hotels, restaurants, processors, and we're also an exporter of produce. So here I'm showing you some of the branded package items that we have in retail, in supermarkets, and here there are some items that are listed on the website. So just to a little bit about what exactly we mean by e-commerce and digital marketing. So in my view, e-commerce is really simply just conducting commercial transactions online. So being able to do a complete sale and purchase electronically across the internet. And the key here is that it usually includes being able to complete that transactions using a debit or credit card with no human present. So this is one of the things that, you know, has been a game changer for us, as Allister was just talking about, because you can still be selling even while you're sleeping. So with digital marketing, we're talking about the promotion of your brand and your products or services using a range of digital channels such as internet, social media, and other electronic technologies. So some of the tools that we have used, of course, we have our various social media platforms that we utilize. We are on IG, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, of course. The ones that we use most commonly are IG, Facebook, and TikTok. LinkedIn, less so, as long as, you know, depending on the content that we're sharing. Of course, we have our website, which is also an e-commerce marketplace, and it's a multi-vendor e-commerce marketplace. We also use blog articles and SEO, search engine optimization, We do email marketing with MailChimp. We have live chat on our website as well as on our social media pages, such as on Facebook and IG. And we have the contact us via our website. Interestingly, we see that a lot of companies online do not have this. It's very difficult for persons to contact them, but we continue to maintain that to keep the communication lines open. We also use AI, so like ChatGPT, and we also have AI integrated in our chat as well, and in other areas, of course. We do a little bit of online advertising. You know, we are a small company, still fairly young in our life stages, so we do not have a lot of funding for online advertising. So we do that minimally, and that is a combination of website advertising, social media marketing, and search engine marketing. So here we're showing, this is an example of our IG board. This is the live chat that's on our website, and as an extract from one of our blog articles on our exotic greens collection. So we use our the various tools that I just mentioned. We use them to do a range of different things. So such as introducing new products, such as our exotic greens collection, for example, a range of package items that we have in retail, premium spinach, baby mixed lettuce, baby romaine, kale. They are supplied in bulk to like hotels as well as in the supermarkets, and you can also get them online on our website. So we'll use our website, social media pages, and blogs to introduce the new products, provide product information such as availability, such as restocking, locations where they're available island-wide in the different stores. We help people to understand things such as the health benefits of the products, interesting facts about them, how to use them. So we'll do give recipe examples both in posts as well as in video reels of recipes and how to prepare the items. We also use it for promotion of interesting events and activities that the company is participating in or various achievements. So recently we participated in the Seattle, Canada food show, and we advertise that via our social media pages, including LinkedIn, the website, and Facebook and IG and Twitter leading up to the event. We also did posts during the event and then after. So that would be an example of that. Our experience has been, it has been very positive, and it has shown for us the real importance of ensuring that your business has an online presence. We are contacted by persons from all over the world. We have had products that are shipped to like Canada, UK, USA, Europe, and elsewhere. Persons start reaching out to share when they've purchased our products. So we're seeing increase in engagement. So our exotic greens collection that I mentioned that we have in the supermarkets, we are seeing increased brand awareness and of the company, and persons tell us about it. And sometimes they even like post a video online and tag us to say, hey, I'm using the products. We're seeing a change, which is something that we expect to happen over time, that business customers are now starting to search for products online. So we have been connected to like new like hotel clients and restaurants because they search online for some product that they couldn't find, and then they found from Linkr, and we're able to start a relationship with them. A lot of farmers also reach out to us to assist them with marketing, and we have certainly become known for certain specialty items, and we see like increased referrals. There are definitely some challenges along the way and some pitfalls that I would suggest that persons need to avoid. So one of the big challenges is, lack of sufficient resources to create content. And this, of course, will lead to like insufficient posting frequency. When we started back, you know, several years ago, before we had dedicated staff for this, I used to only be able to do occasional posts here and there. And that was a challenge until we were able to have dedicated staff. We have a dedicated person that actually works on all of our sales and marketing and the social media and digital marketing aspect of it because of how important it is to the business. That was one of the second full-time roles that we had. There's also the challenge of attracting local audience and not just an international one. And of course, this depends on what you are selling and what your product focus is. If you're only selling things for exporting to an international audience, then this would not be a challenge. But if you also want to engage with the local audience because you're also selling things to them, then this is something that have to be managed. So also coming up with interesting content ideas to engage the audience. This was also a challenge. I think nowadays it is less so of a challenge because we have artificial intelligence that can help us with that. And this is one of the things that we have started to use them to help with in terms of helping to come up with interesting content ideas to add to, you know, whatever us as a team come up with. So some pitfalls to avoid, and we have observed some of these things. Inconsistent naming across platforms. I would suggest that persons should try to use the same name across for your website and socials, because of course it's going to help with brand recognition and brand awareness. The shopper or the consumer shouldn't have to be trying to figure out if the name that they saw on this website with a different name on IG and a different name on Facebook and a different name on Twitter, whether it is the same company. It just makes it more difficult for you. So that's something to try to manage. I know sometimes the name that you want isn't available, but I would say try to find a name that is available that you can get to use across, you know, all the platforms. So we're FarmLinker on every platform. Whichever platform we have, that's the name that we have along with our website. Don't make it hard for customers to reach you. Try to be accessible. I have observed a practice where companies seem to make it very difficult for persons to be able to reach them online. There's no way that you can like send a message to get a response. This is something we have tried to avoid despite our small size. So we use the Google Groups a lot, which though we have a small team, that helps us to stay on top of the communication because there are several persons within the group. So when a message is sent, any person that is available is able to respond to it, and it doesn't get bottlenecked in any one inbox. So that is a way that can be managed despite having a small team and still be able to be responsive and communicate with the potential shoppers. So of course, tardiness to responding to customer queries. So you need to allocate time to respond daily so that when it is said that persons have to interact with a brand or see it about 7 times before they're actually going to make a purchase. So when they're reaching out and asking questions, that's pretty good. But if they don't get a response, they may just leave and not come back. Don't make stuff up to look good, and be honest, build trust with customers over time. And it does take time. So you just have to continue to work on it. So tips on how you can get started. Start, be consistent, and then grow. So start, I imagine everybody must have social media pages by now, but if you don't, create your social media pages. As you know, they're free. You can also open a free email marketing account. And certainly this is one way to manage costs. They obviously have paid options, but you can just start with the free one and work with that. There's a lot that you can get done with a free account before you have to start paying. Start posting content. You may not be able to be super consistent initially, but just start doing what you can and start to build that presence. It's very important to have a website. If you do, it could be a cost to build one, but you can use a multi-vendor marketplace platform, for example, which is an example of what FarmLinker has, that would allow you to open a free store without having to build your own website. And that would immediately allow you to start being able to have online sales with a debit or a credit card without you having to put in all of that infrastructure yourself. Of course, there's now what we call social commerce, where there's a lot of transactions still taking place just via the social media pages with various payment links and things like that. So that's also another option that can be looked at. Once you start, then the next objective is to be consistent. How am I going to be consistent? Of course, with the challenges of maybe not having dedicated resources yet, but the idea is that you work towards that. So acquire and assign dedicated resources to manage the whole process. So you may have to develop a plan as to how you're going to get there from where you are. Set up a posting calendar in terms of deciding what's the frequency of your posting going to be. We have a typical posting schedule of like 3 times per week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but sometimes we increase beyond that depending on what's happening, where we insert other things into the calendar. Create content in bulk and schedule. That's the best way to be able to get it done consistently, rather than having to remember to figure out time to do it in a particular day. A lot of content that is created can also be reused. So if the message is the same, so over time you can start to reusing some of that content. Then of course, once you do that, then the only thing that happens next is just for you to grow, like engage with your audience, using interesting and useful content that's useful and interesting to them, respond to their queries in a timely manner, and then of course, deliver on promises made. So of course, you know, once the customers are happy, then they will start talking about you and sharing that information with others and sharing your profile with others. And then that of course helps you to grow. So that's it for us from FarmLinker. We are continuing to build on our platform and expanding our sales in terms of internationally as well as locally. Our vision is to be able to start, as I mentioned earlier, we are an exporter, and we do intend to start exporting even container loads via our website. One of the keys about the online selling is standardization. So understanding what is all the information you need to present in your listing so that the buyer can make what is called a buying decision. So
thank you, Shelly.
Right. So we feel that once we're able to do that, we'll be able to also sell container loads online. So
well,
thank you.
Congratulations. It's very, very nice. I mean, it looks really, the products, the market you have expanded in quite a short time, actually. And also to have the e-commerce platform, because many of the entrepreneurs in the Caribbean and elsewhere, they tell us that having digital platforms but e-commerce where you have payments possibilities is not always very easy for small entrepreneurs. So you have managed, perhaps you will have questions on that. How do you know, how did you manage to go through that? And I liked as well the part on the awareness, on the branding, which of course online, you know, is a great opportunity to reach as many people as possible and create trust. So thank you for all the tips you shared, very practical. It's really a wealth of information. You have said yourself some are even free. I mean, you start with even, you know, free tools, you know, advices there and there, but you have to, and as soon as you have more resources, then you have to dedicate, of course, to, you know, experts on marketing and in different parts. So we come back to you. I mean, it's really very, very interesting. Thank you very much. I like very much the presentation, and I hope you can export and you know, expand beyond what you have already done very, very soon. So we take the questions after. I mean, it will be done by Allister. So we have the presentations to give you the time to post I saw a couple of ones actually already to Shelly. If it's in French, my colleagues will translate, because you have seen we have many people also from Africa, English speaking, French speaking. So we go to Trinidad and Tobago. Gillian Goddard, Happy to see you, co-founder of the Alliance of Rural Communities. So your business is chocolate. You are a chocolate maker, but you are also very, very committed, as many of the entrepreneurs we have here, to a social change, to equity, to justice, you know, to really make the region and the communities grow. So you have a very long experience in also indigenous, you know, gardening and farming. So really using the local knowledge that's so wrongly often we don't consider. So you really are working in this area, and then supporting projects that promote sustainable production of chocolate, plastic-free packaging and trading, community-led conservation, and so on. So many of the areas that touch social, environment, and of course economic drivers. So Gillian, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to keep an eye on the time. So when it's around 9 minutes, maybe you can turn on your camera, Isolina. I'll look out for it. So the first thing is we're not sure what to call ourselves. We definitely know we go beyond the bounds of an entrepreneur. We go beyond the bounds of social justice organization. So in a sense, our guiding principle is what I put up on the screen, a well-being economy. So we do end up serving social, health, cultural, equity, and nature outcomes. So there are three main collectives that are inside of our network. So what you may see as I go along and talk about this is that in a sense, we're trying to work all the way across supply chains, from the farming level to the retail level. In the Caribbean, we have the Alliance of Rural Communities, which is mainly based in Trinidad and Tobago, where it is most diversified and goes way beyond chocolate. But we're also doing chocolate in collectives in St. Lucia, if you're from St. Lucia, in Micoud and Beausoleil, and in Guyana and in Dominica, we've trained people, and we're in the process of starting to train a large group in Haiti. If you go to the right of the screen, the Cross Atlantic Chocolate Collective, that's in 20 countries, in more than 20 locations. The Alliance of Rural Communities is about 10 years old. The Cross Atlantic Chocolate Collective is 3 years old. And in the middle, you see the Sail Culture Collective, where we're actually working on moving our products through our regions by sailboat. So this is the complex diagram of where the ARC network has reached. If you start on the upper left, you'll see we have an occasional advisory board. Then we have an NGO, which we work within the context of identifying communities. ARC Enterprises on the upper right is a logistics company. We have a car, we have drivers. Marketplace, I'll show you more about that, where we actually, every 2 weeks, we sell fresh produce and processed products, and that's what kept us alive during COVID. You'll see community chocolate companies at the bottom. Catering, ARC Destinations on the lower left is our tourism arm. We have a conservation NGO on the left, and in the middle is our cafe network, which is ARC Co-Create. For the Cross Atlantic, which is only in Pan-African spaces, we have a decision-making group called the Mothership. We have a producer hive in Caribbean and African countries, and these are the countries. This is a 3-year-old network that started during COVID. About half of these groups were actually trained and equipped by self-help methods within our group. In Cote d'Ivoire, there's a 300-person cooperative. In Cameroon, 2,000 farmers. Ghana, 806 women farmers. We have more people that I'm saying here, but this is the focus. The collectives are in those 3 countries, in St. Lucia, Trinidad, and Tobago, and that's really where the focus is these days. If you go on the lower part of the diagram, you'll see a chocolatier hive, and that's where we take the couverture, the paste of chocolate that's made in the producer hive, and we send it to the global north. The chocolatier hive is based in these cities. We have a group in East Cleveland that had a cafe. It's on pause while they open a larger one. We have an all-black coffee chain in Memphis that uses our products in all their chocolate. We have a group that we also trained in Chicago called the Chicago Chocolate Rebellion. And New York should slide over because we're working with a farmers group for BIPOC farmers in the state of New York, and we'll be co-opening a cafe with them in Harlem in the fall. We've also done events in London, Paris, and Rotterdam and Copenhagen, which isn't here, and eventually we hope that we'll be able to do some more work there. In this diagram, you also see a sail ship, and we've actually done a feasibility study with 2 master's students working out the route for a 300-ton sail ship that we can move our products around, and for some smaller boats in the Caribbean Sea. So we did an event in November where we did a pop-up on the same day in 11 countries, 14 locations. So you can see it's kind of ideal for moving our own ship around. So I'll get a little bit now to digital tools. We are spread out. I have literally not met most of the people in 3D in person in the network. And so these are the ways that we use digital platforms. And you can kind of look through and see, to meet partners, to train and be trained. During COVID, our Jamaican partner paid for small machines as a loan to the organization. We sent machines to Cameroon, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Malawi, Uganda, Dominica. So all of that is done online. We conduct meetings. We do a lot of data analysis. So these are ways we use platforms. This is not marketing per se, but in creating a foundation, we don't see marketing as separate from relationship building. But in the interest of time, I'm going to move a little faster. So e-commerce, we do national and regional, mainly business to business. We use a lot of Google Forms. I'll show them to you in a bit. WhatsApp is our daily tool. We do marketing there, fulfilling of orders. We send invoices, and we also do Instagram. Internationally, mainly B2B also, WhatsApp, email, and website. So let me just go quickly. This is a Trinidad form that we use. And I'm just going to scroll through so you can kind of get a sense as to, this is every 2 weeks. We send out pictures with what we are selling. This is all local produce or local processed goods. As Isolina said, we don't use plastic. We don't use single-use plastic. So everything is either in glass or wrapped in leaves. We have a long list. So this is all the local stuff, which we have a regular group of farmers in multiple communities. And then we also realized during COVID, if we did not sell imported stuff, we would not be able to keep our customers. So we started also buying wholesale and selling. But the goal really is to work with our partners in the global north who are growing these things, and we send a container with our things and bring it back down. And this is also where we sell chocolates retail and jams. So we're working with a lot of different people across our network. I'm racing through it, okay? Let's go back to the slide. So we also have, for Cross Atlantic, we have a website where I would honestly say we don't do a lot of our sales here. We did a box in our first 3 months that had products, 12 chocolates from 12 countries, and that we entirely sold online. But we have a marketplace online. No one really uses it at the moment. And we're not really stressed about it because we have so much that we have to do to make these spaces work. We're a very low capitalized organization. And so we are putting foundations in place. We also have used the US shop in the past to do some level of retail. But the challenge at this point, let me see if I can get it to open. Yes. We are selling so much stuff through the partners in the US that we actually don't really sell on the site anymore. The retail sales are done through the partners we're working with in the US and in our pop-ups that we do. But as you can see, it is potentially available to sell things here. So this is where we sold most of these samples. So we are training people and also putting things online. So let me just see if there's one last slide. So you can ask a lot of questions and we can come back to this. So let's just go back to this slide. So this is really the ways to contact us. And that's the end of the presentation. So keep your questions. It's a massive network, right? We have thousands of people now involved in this network. We are upgrading the amount of product we sell, but people sell locally, they sell through our network. And so questions are appreciated if you would like to know more.
Thank you very much, Gillian. You have seen that we have many participants from Africa, and I saw many from West Africa as well. So Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Cameroon, and so on, producers, exporters of cocoa beans. And so I'm sure you will have plenty of questions. A very interesting approach as well. Thank you very much for sharing. We are a bit pushed by time, so I will keep my questions and perhaps I put them after. You know, if we have time. So Agyei Archer is a business lead of AgriConnect from Trinidad and Tobago. So you really have a digital platform as well, developed with a few partners, and that connects certified farmers with commercial buyers. And you integrate features like real-time data, secure payments, financial reporting, and so on. So could you go, I saw your presentation is a bit long, but I see that there are many images. There are many things you are going to.
Yeah, it's all pictures.
Exactly. So it would be very interesting to see as well. Please, the floor is yours. And thank you for joining as well.
Sure, thanks. Hi, everybody. My name is Agyei. I run AgriConnect, and I think this is as much face as we need. I'm just gonna ask if you can see my screen that you could let me know.
It's coming. Yes, now it's fine. Thank you.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Agyei. I'm a designer by trade. I suppose now I'm an entrepreneur because I've designed too close to the sun. And I run a small software development practice called Public Good Studio. As the name might imply, a lot of what we're doing is just trying to make sustainable projects that we think might be in the interest of the public good while operating as a private entity. I think in small spaces like Trinidad, where we're based, that means that we're also working in the Caribbean generally. So most of our projects have a kind of a regional scope. There's a lot of overlapping problems between these kinds of countries, and hopefully we could address them in tandem. So we had a project that we worked on that started maybe like 2 years or so ago, which was a fintech sprint hosted by the United Nations Capital Development Fund. And at the time, we were working on a hybrid market platform that allowed consumers to buy directly from a fresh produce market that happened every Saturday in Port of Spain in Trinidad. And it went really well, and we developed a lot of relationships. So we saw that call and we decided to try to answer it. And the call was for us to expand e-commerce offerings for smallholder farmers, right? So I think when we think about e-commerce, we think about selling things online, checking with a credit card, that kind of stuff. But then there's also additional components, right? E-commerce has it provides scalability and flexibility, but it also, like, especially for cash heavy industries like agriculture, it provides a way of in like a very quiet, passive way of improved financial reporting and viability. So if we want to start offering farmers things like parametric insurance, if we want to start offering them things like microloans, it's going to be because we're able to assess financial history, right? So we started knowing that e-commerce was able to kind of address that. And I think when we think about smallholder farmers, we're really thinking about any farmer generally in the Caribbean. We don't have the land sizes to be beyond that. But our work was focusing on farmers in Trinidad, St. Vincent, and Dominica. I think it's important to kind of acknowledge that all our food systems are pretty dependent on Caribbean agriculture, for as much as they're not entirely dependent, but they are. I think there's a lot of different realities that we were trying to deal with on the ground for all of those countries when we started. And what we had to do is we went on missions. So we did a lot of like on-the-ground research in Dominica, on-the-ground research in St. Vincent as well. And I think that we needed to understand what was similar about these markets and what was different before we started making any software. And we've been making software for a while. So a lot of our solutions tend to focus a lot less on the software than on the process of getting to that place. But generally speaking, these farmers might be all Caribbean, but they have different challenges, and they're dealing with those different challenges, obviously in very different ways, right? There are similarities, but the similarities are far more along the lines of climate and those types of things. The operational realities are entirely different. So we started looking at like how could we find the general problems and fix those, and then see what we could do about getting specific on the ground, because it was a budget limited project. We had a time limit on it as well. And we needed to try to find a way to make something that at least addressed this core problem while not reinventing the wheel. Because I think that we've identified that a lot of solutions like the ones that we were trying to build, especially ones that were kind of strictly B2B, they ran into a lot of really common problems, right? So the first thing that we did was we started incorporating data. So we worked with Trinidad's agricultural marketing and development company, NAMDEVCO, and they've been operating by collecting data on daily trades at the wholesale markets in Trinidad for about 10 years now. So the first thing that we did was we got that data in and we started training a model on it. And then the next thing was trying to think about where our users were, right? So we have one side of users who buy items from us, and they are public sector, private sector, mostly large businesses. So we're thinking people who are buying truckloads of fresh produce at any point in time. But trying to meet those people where they are, which is a business that typically operates at like 2 a.m. in the morning with big wads of cash, very few checks and balances. We have to figure out, okay, how do we find a way to give those users something that might seem more inconvenient earlier on, but will ultimately give them a benefit that we believe in, right? And hopefully we'll get them to believe in that benefit as well. And then the hard reality too is that I think we spent very little time not getting busy. So I told my team on the first day of the project, I said, we need to start selling vegetables right now. And we needed to start selling vegetables really because we wanted to understand how could we actually improve the system, because the reality is that if it's a system that's been keeping us fed and alive for so long, it could only be broken in so many ways, right? So that's what we did. We started selling stuff. We started trying to solve problems for buyers and making trades and asking questions. And we dealt with a lot of things. I did not know how many pest challenges we had in a tropical country, but we do. But a lot of our work was, trying to figure out those realities as well. How do we handle things like pest control? How do we handle things like, quality assurance? And as we answered those questions, we kind of built and iterated on a simple form-driven approach. What we wanted to do was to keep user engagement time low, so we didn't want users using the product for very long at all. But then what we also wanted to do was to be able to capture as much core data as we needed at every point in time. And that's what we did. We built a platform called AgriConnect. AgriConnect is a digital platform that allows farmers to use their phones or their laptops or really any smart device to manage crops, to receive orders and payments, and to automate financial reporting. Really important to us was making sure that that financial reporting was a big part of it, right? And so what we're doing is we have digital tools that are kind of combining procurement technology, e-commerce, and then market insight technology as well, because we're able to use NAMDEVCO's pricing data to keep farmers updated, right? So farmers are able to sign up using their phone numbers, and we try to focus only on taking the data that we need from them, for as much as we could preserve privacy anyway. So we take on sign-up data from farmers, we pass it on to NAMDEVCO. So we only worked with NAMDEVCO certified farmers. And then what NAMDEVCO's team would do is they would go to the farm, vet the farmer, and then onboard them onto our platform. So it was the approach is meant to be really quite sanitized. I think that there's a lot to be said about accessibility with those types of things, but we're still in our pilot phase. We launched in October last year, when we're going to be in pilot for another few months. So verified farmers get to manage inventories. They have live access to consistently updating market price data. So every day, they will have updated prices for the crops that they sell based on the market pricing at NAMDEVCO. They don't really have to do anything to get that. Farmers are also able to receive notices for incoming orders via text. They're able to make bids on open orders as well that have yet to be assigned to them, also via text message, because something that we learned, for example, is that Dominican farmers really want to do business, but their phones aren't going to allow them to. So we needed to find a way to kind of even bring the technology down to a place of just being able to be run with phones, right? So the technology is created to work and be applicable in low data environments, ideally. But while operating in a low data environment, still giving us and the ministries of agriculture and their other government agencies as much robust data as we could possibly give them. We're very fortunate. It's already won a few awards for design and production and that type of thing. But what we're hoping to be able to do is to continue making meaningful investments in its development. We were able to learn a lot of stuff. I think I think that we make a lot of assumptions about farmers, about rural people especially, that projects like this were able to confront. We were able to onboard a group of pilot farmers and buyers, so we have not expanded very intentionally beyond our current buyer base because it's quite a lot of volume already. But what we're able to do is take those insights and continue refining our product towards like a formal launch in October. We've been able to work with some of the biggest hospitals in the country, some of the biggest public sector agencies as well. And also we get to work with NAMDEFCO, who has a FDA certified packing house that allows us to keep quality up to a really, really high standard. So all of these were how it happened. It didn't happen just with making software. I'm showing that because I think it's really important to know and to be reminded that the software only gets you so far. We were able to pay farmers more proportionally for some crops, or for most crops actually, largely by just eliminating the middleman that would normally be an essential factor inside of this. But I mean, farmers already getting their market pricing data and there are already logistics built in, right? So there's less need for more people to pay along it. But a lot of it is really just about being transparent with farmers. I think that we have not built an e-commerce platform in the traditional sense, largely because credit card transactions limits are too small for our transactions. Like we typically have transactions that may be in excess of $10,000 per transaction. So credit cards aren't really the best way, but we do have an API-driven system that allows us to take bank transaction reports and keep payments up to date and to keep automated payments going out to farmers up to date as well. I think that farmers don't like working with cash, but we are able to show them value beyond that. And I think that that is our big takeaway from working with e-commerce, working with rural people, is that if you're able to deliver value, they will take on whatever the inconvenience is, right? And I think that that's an important thing. I think what we want to be able to also identify is that we have intra-regional trade issues that are beyond technology. Technology isn't going to fix everything. We have SPS issues. We have non-tariff barriers. We do need to, I think, invest as much as possible in agriculture. It's an industry that I think will kind of keep us protected from import costs. I think as well, being able to make something that is iterative means that we're also able to take in a lot of data. So we've built a repository of data from multiple entities, and hopefully we're going to be able to make that public access by the end of the year. But the idea is that we can provide broad access data on, climate, pest control, pricing, market volumes, etc., and shipping logistics. But yeah, I think what we do want to say is that farmers are really good at using technology when they care about it. I think everybody in this call has probably gotten a text message from a very senior citizen with a functional link and proper emoji use. They're not bad at tech. Sometimes I think we just count them out a little bit unnecessarily. We've been able to, I think, be really quite pleased with how much money we've delivered to farmers so far. We've delivered just over 150,000 US so far since October. And we have currently in negotiation over 250,000 in forward contracts. And we've been able to do that without cash. And by paying farmers above the market price, with goods that get delivered safely to their farms. And I think it's because we made a lot of focus on taking care of the people worthy thing. And I think as long as you're able to kind of focus on that, you'll make good software. But we are a software company that tries our best to kind of focus on this part first and then allow the answers to reveal themselves. Thank you. I'm sorry for talking so much.
No, but thank you very much because you cover all. It's a very interesting model again. I mean, serving farmers, which is critical. We shouldn't forget them, and we have to adapt as today on what their needs and their possibilities are. Many questions. I've worked a lot with small farmers, a lot in Africa as well. There have been very successful models like this one, but I'm sure that questions will come on all the the data security. I saw a few on fraud. Of course, all also the investment you made, for example, on training, and equipping those farmers with the possibility to access those tools. And I fully agree with you that when they see a value, they do adopt the technology and they use the technology. It has to be really very practical and speaking to them. So we will get back to that, and food quality, consistency, and so on, which are also challenges you have to face. We still have a presentation, so really we have to be very quick, Chavara, I'm happy that you are back. I know you had some connection problems. So Chavara Roker, she's the CEO of Chiccharney Farms in the Bahamas. So another complementary model, and that's the interesting part, that we show different types of, e-commerce, digital platforms that work and are not the same with the same kind of technicalities. And you work a lot on the farm to table, movements. You connect a lot, again, small farmers with restaurants, communities, etc. And you are also very much involved in all the women's empowerment, entrepreneurship. So that mentoring, a part as well. Please, in 10 minutes, a bit less if possible. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy that you are here, Chavara, that you managed.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and it will be definitely less than 10 minutes, okay? So let's get going. I'm going to end my video so that I have good sound quality for us to move forward. Okay, so digital roots, how to grow a Caribbean agri. Okay, so let's get right into it. I hope you guys can hear me. There you go. So our story. So Chiccharney Farms is a farm that is based on the island of Andros in the Bahamas. Our name is derived from a legend associated with the island. Our journey began out of necessity. Local farmers weren't being fairly compensated by the government, so we decided to take matters into our own hand, bringing our goods directly to customers and building a brand that has grown in size and reputation. Today, we are a female-led agribusiness that specializes in the production of local and organic produce and offering traditional bush teas, value-added goods like sauces and dried herbs, in-person events like farm tours, pop-up markets, workshops, and of course, the most popular farm-to-table dining. All of this has been done through the use of digital marketing and online branding. Okay, so our timelines, I'll go through this very quickly. We started the company in 2013 online on Facebook, to be exact. 2015 was when we created our first website so that we were able to connect our products to our clients. In 2020 is when we sold over 6 figures during the global pandemic online. We were prepared prior to that based on the launch in 2015. And in 2025, we have just launched our new storefront where our clients can come to us. Okay. So I wanted to ask a question about how often are you online? Since the beginning, digital marketing has played a crucial role in Chiccharney Farms' growth and visibility. When we first launched, we didn't have a storefront, a distributor, or a middleman. What we did have was a phone, a Facebook account, and a strong connection to our community. We began by sharing our story online, posting about what we grew and why it mattered. This was also where we were able to make some of our first sales and capture and meet new clients. Over the years, through the use of platforms like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, we were able to build a brand that people can trust. And of course, where we can be transparent and show up every day with consistency, we created a recognizable brand rooted in culture and storytelling. We also launched pop-up farmers market, farm events, and seasonal offerings using free, accessible tools, educate our audience on everything from bush teas and also to food sovereignty through our backyard gardening program. We also offer private gardens that we install for our clients, and we also promote and sell directly to consumers. So the importance of digital tools and strategies. Digital tools have been key to building our brand and reaching customers where they are. We use Instagram and Facebook to tell our stories, sharing behind-the-scenes content, product spotlight, and farm updates. These platforms help us to connect customers visually and personally. We design all of our content, flyers, menus, announcements using Canva, ensuring that everything we publish is clear, branded, and professional. We also boost select posts on Facebook and Instagram to reach our audiences beyond our immediate followers. Combined with authentic customer reviews on platforms like Google and Facebook, this gives the business valuable social proof, helping potential buyers feel confident and connected before they ever make a purchase. These free, low-cost tools have helped us to create a consistent, trusted online presence without needing a large marketing team or budget. So our strategies included, and these are strategies that everyone should use: engage with clients and potential opportunities, and partnership opportunities, create more video content, brand your human, make your brand human so that it evokes emotion. Also be consistent. Be consistent in posting to maintain your social media presence. And I think I have, something else. I cannot see it though. I'm sorry. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So take a look at what we have done. So this is one product that we recently promoted because it's really like summer here and it's really hot. So we wanted to talk about our pepper products. So product graphics, like the one that you see, the Seminole and the other pepper sauces were designed using Canva, which we use other pieces of content, flyers, menus, announcement. This tool is low cost, but helps to establish and maintain our online presence with a professional look. With just a few images and brand elements, we've been able to create flyers, labels, and digital content that match our identity and feel polished. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook allow us to share this kind of content regularly. With the investment in a boost post, they become more visible both locally and beyond. E-commerce and operational efficiency. Selling direct to customers online may seem intimidating, but with the right approach, it can be a game changer, and for us, it has. We use our website and WhatsApp to take orders easy, familiar options that our customers can recognize. Platforms such as Wix or Shopify can help to manage sales and track your orders, even if you're just starting out. So you don't have to manually do this. You should also think beyond individual transactions. Think about seasonal boxes, limited time offers, and customizable bundles, which create excitement and help you to manage your inventory more efficiently. Let's just say you have an overstock. These kind of concepts will help. Once the order is placed, the next step is closing the sale. But don't stop there. The final and most arguably important is feedback. Positive reviews build trust and attract new customers by giving them confidence before they buy. Encourage reviews on Google or Facebook whenever possible. So this is something that I want to definitely hit home to you guys. Consistency matters more than perfection, because as entrepreneurs, if you're like me, you always want to get it right. But showing up regularly, whether it's a story, a post, a message, keeps customers engaged and it builds trust over time. Our journey with e-commerce and digital marketing has come with its share of learning curves, but each challenge has helped us to grow stronger. At first, managing online orders and deliveries felt overwhelming. But with time, we found rhythm through trial and error. And the right tools, Wix gave us structure, while social media gave us flexibility to test ideas, see what resonated, and to adapt quickly. Another challenge was delivery logistics, especially to other islands. But by coordinating early, partnering locally, and setting clear order timelines, we managed to keep things reliable. Our growth has not only come from just doing the business, but definitely being consistent, listening to our customers, and showing up every day. Next slide, please. I think we're almost there. What's next? How can we grow together? So our next steps is definitely to expand with digital training and mentorship, opportunities for women in agriculture, to strengthen regional shipping through logistic partners across the Bahamas, launch more seasonal campaigns, and formalize our digital loyalty program, continue using digital platforms to share knowledge, culture, and to make an impact. Here's what you can do. Even if you're just starting out, start with one clear offering and build your digital presence gradually. Use simple tools like Canva, Wix, WhatsApp to reach your community. Think long-term. Think about loyalty programs and digital catalogs to increase retention. Collaborate with other regional partners. And to expand your reach. Empower others, share your knowledge, especially youth and women. And of course, keep building and stay consistent. So I want to end by saying this: Caribbean Agribusiness has a global voice. Digital tools help us speak louder. Thank you for the opportunity to share our story. At Chiccharney Farms, we believe that with purpose and creativity and the right tools, even small agribusinesses can build a strong brand, serve their communities, and grow sustainably. We hope our experience inspires others to take the first step, whether it's launching a product, building an online presence, or just showing up consistency. Let's keep learning from each other and moving forward towards Caribbean agri-food systems forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A very interesting presentation as well. Very complimentary. Thank you very much for your tips, for your advices. I mean, building your presence, trust, reliability. Then the customers will do a lot for you, actually, voicing. And we see that all the time. Thank you for highlighting some of the areas as well that we had some sessions about, you know, the logistics, the infrastructure, regionally and so on. I'm happy to see as well that you expand markets. You know, you start locally or exporting, and then you do also the local e-commerce or digital strategies. And what we have learned from the 4 examples is that all are good, all are useful, all are appreciated, all have customers, local or foreigners or both, and you know they are complementary. So there is, and that was the sense of this. It was not just to push one, is whatever works, be supporting farmers, be more, you know, the agribusiness and SMEs part. So thank you very much. I cannot extend more because we have another panel and the questions come at the end. I see many, by the way. I see Robert Reed. I know you for a long time. Thank you very much. You are also a very good agribusiness expert. Thank you very much for your questions. Very, very sharp, as usual. Allister, the floor is yours. Sorry for the little delay.
No, that's okay, Isolina. No, that's okay. That's okay. This partnership is so important, and the whole focus on collaboration is something that we want to address, and that's why this second panel is so critical. Now, we're talking e-commerce, we're talking digital marketing, and there's so many benefits to e-commerce as the various presenters have already shared. And in particular, the whole issue of convenience for the buyers, convenience for the sellers. Also, there's opportunities for traceability systems we put in place. And also something that we should consider is that we want to make it so much easier to link these producers to the buyers. And in the region where we're looking at reducing our food import bill and enhancing food security, for those who don't know, in the Caribbean, we were looking at 25 by 25, reducing the food import bill by 25% by 2025. And we're looking to stretch that now to 2030 and beyond. And things like digital marketing and e-commerce really allow us to better address those challenges associated with reducing the food import bill. With digital marketing, you can now directly target certain groups, certain audiences. You can get better access to information to allow you to make decisions. Ultimately, we want to embrace these concepts. However, I would admit to you all, there's a challenge in terms of the uptake of digital marketing solutions, as well as addressing e-commerce systems. In fact, later this year in September, IICA will be hosting a Digital Agriculture Week that we hope to do in partnership with COLEAD as well, where we look to address some other digital solutions to addressing agriculture. We had a wonderful panel that came before, looking at the experiences of the entrepreneurs, and we hope we can have some adoption by a lot of you all out there in the audience. But as I said, there are challenges to the uptake of digital marketing and e-commerce systems. And we need to hear from agencies who can support that process, who can really allow most of us out there to get to that level that we heard from the Chiccharney farms and AgriConnect. We want to be able to do those things that they have been speaking about. So at this point, I want to transition to have us listen to some of the agencies to get insights from them on how we can move forward. We want to start, first of all, with our colleagues from Caribbean Export. Again, as I said, collaboration is key. These are agencies that have been working with us and continue to support us and support agribusinesses in the development of the enterprise. So we want to introduce our colleague from Caribbean Export. His name is Jonathan Seecharan, and Jonathan is a regional trade professional with over a decade of experience in private sector development across the region. He currently serves as the Innovation and Digital Business Officer at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, CEDA, or as we say, Caribbean Export. And Jonathan leads regional donor-funded initiatives aimed at advancing digital transformation across the CARIFORUM private sector. Now, prior to Caribbean Export, he worked as the technical officer for grants and funding at Export TT Limited, which is Trinidad and Tobago's national export facilitation organization. And there he coordinated the agency's program financing portfolio. And at Export TT, he facilitated access to grant funding for over 150 companies to support export readiness, innovation, and digital transformation, including first-time website development, e-commerce integration, and R&D for new market-ready products and services. Hundreds more benefited from targeted technical capacity building support under Jonathan's guidance. He has also represented Trinidad and Tobago and the wider region at key international fora, including digital transformation training programs in China and trade and investment missions throughout the region. He holds a master's and bachelor's degree in economics from the University of the West Indies, the St. Augustine campus, and he's very passionate about leveraging innovation and digital technologies to strengthen the global competitiveness of our regional enterprises. This is a real expert we're bringing to the platform now. He's going to share with us in 10 minutes the insights and the information from the Caribbean export perspective. Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Allister, for that introduction. Let me just quickly share my screen. Let me know if you all can see it.
Yes, we can, but if you could put in presentation mode. Okay, fantastic.
Right, it's in presentation mode now, right? All right, good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Thanks to the organizers for the invite. I will just touch on some of the support that Caribbean Export has under its digital portfolio to assess the private sector across the CARIFORUM region. But specifically, I will just touch on some of how these things can benefit agribusinesses and agri-entrepreneurs in the main.
Jonathan, sorry to disturb you. Is it possible you can open it up more? We are seeing it in the, where we can see the additional slides coming forward. So if you could open it up fully.
Let me see. Can you see it better now?
No, maybe in the interest of time, go ahead. Go ahead as is.
Yeah, sorry about that. So let me just introduce Caribbean Export a bit. We are a regional trade and investment agency focused on accelerating the Caribbean's private sector growth through the implementation of donor-funded programs and initiatives. Just in the interest of time, let me just jump ahead. As we know, particularly post the pandemic, there has been a global shift in the digital environment. I have just included just about 4 bullet points that I have noticed across my professional career, particularly in the last 5 years or so. We're seeing an increase in the number of AI-powered solutions. We're seeing an increase in the number of digital market spaces, and we would have heard presenters from the panel before talk about digital marketplaces and connecting buyers and suppliers in the agricultural space. I've also seen a trend where social media commerce is also being really gaining traction. So you're looking at things like Instagram and WhatsApp. You have WhatsApp for business, Instagram for business. So social media commerce is something that is gaining traction. We're also seeing an increase in the number of ways payments could be made via fintech solutions and digital wallets. So no longer we have to go to a physical market and pay in cash. We can do business virtually cashless. And one important thing that I've noticed as well is the increase of the digitization of logistics using things like blockchain technologies and smart contracts. So we're seeing a global shift in how technology is being used, and it is being used in such a way to drive efficiency, drive innovation across sectors. So what does that mean? What are the opportunities for agri-entrepreneurs and the private sector as a whole? I've just, again, by no means is this an exhaustive list, and it's fairly intuitive. The improvements in productivity and efficiency enhances traceability and food safety, again, the use of digital technologies in the agricultural sector can really help improve the quality of the produce across the value chain and supply chain. Again, strengthens market access and competitiveness. We're seeing with some of the presenters that came before, they engage in these innovative solutions to bridge any gaps in terms of market access through e-commerce platforms and increase digital marketing to gain a wider audience and a wider traction for their particular business. And also, very importantly, obviously, fundamentally, the agricultural sector is entwined with the whole issue of climate change and these broader issues. So digital technologies are helping to streamline solutions that combat any sort of negative externalities from climate change that out of the reach of local farmers. So it insulates and helps to create a buffer for the agricultural sector once it is used properly. So with that in mind, I just want to share a couple programs and initiatives. Some are currently underway, some are yet will come on board in the next few months or so, but I just want to, for the benefit of everyone, just quickly share what we have at Caribbean Export for your benefit. One of the things some of the presenters mentioned earlier was this issue of the digital divide. And a big part of that is that some SMEs just don't know what digital transformation is about. And there is a gap in the knowledge, or there's a knowledge gap when it comes to digital transformation across the SMEs in the CARIFORUM private sector. So with our Caribbean Digital Transformation Institute, it helps to, one, monitor and create a baseline for your digital maturity. And also it provides a learning resource such that you can build your own internal knowledge capacity through our e-learning component of the Caribbean Digital Transformation Institute, or the CDTI. This is a project that we've done in collaboration with the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank. And again, it is to drive knowledge-based capacity building across the private sector, the CARIFORUM private sector. There are two main components. There is the digital checkup tool and there is the e-learning component. So how does it actually work? Well, first you take the digital maturity checkup tool. It is just a survey where it assesses 6 areas of digital transformation, from digital technologies all the way to your processes. And it gives you a report that analyzes your answers, produce a report, and provides recommendations for your implementation as an SME. So how does this transfer to the e-learning platform? Well, what happens is when you take the digital checkup tool, you'll get access to our e-learning platform where you will have a customized learning path specific for you. So if you're not good at e-commerce, if you need to build your capacity in e-commerce and digital marketing, you'll be able to take these self-paced courses along an individual learning path such that you will be able to target specifically your specific gaps. So I'm not sure if you're able to see here, but this is just a screenshot of what the courses would look like. So you would see, for example, for this particular demo, there is a course on social media marketing. There's a course on marketing fundamentals. Again, every single user of the digital checkup tool will have their own learning path customized for their gaps. So whether that gap be in e-commerce or digital marketing, you have the knowledge resources to build your internal capacity. Fundamentally, this is how it should be used. So you complete the survey, you complete your learning path. There's actually something missing here in my error. Ideally, what we want you to do as the SME is to implement based on what you learn. And then you can take the digital checkup tool again to help measure if you've progressed, if your digital maturity has progressed. And you're able to take that digital checkup tool every 3 months. So it's take the checkup tool, engage the e-learning platform, implement what you've learned, and then retake the digital checkup tool to measure your progress. And this is a continuous learning cycle. So we encourage everyone to at least take the checkup tool and use the e-learning platform. So this is currently live. The digital checkup tool is currently live. You can go and take the assessment, and you'll be able to get your results. Another initiative that we have in progress is our digital masterclass series. This would be an in-person 5-day workshop to assess digital transformation gaps across SMEs with the specific intention to develop implementation roadmaps across key digital areas. What that simply means is that we understand that there's a digital transformation gap. However, SMEs may not be experts at digital transformation. So we're trying to make it easier where every participant will get their own customized roadmap such that they will know exactly what they need to implement from a digital transformation perspective. For example, the Digital Masterclass series has a component focused specifically on e-commerce and digital marketing. So every participant will be assessed, or their gaps will be assessed with respect to e-commerce and digital marketing, and then recommendations will be given to the SMEs as part of their digital transformation roadmap on the specific action items that they need to take in order to close that gap. The CDTI will be used as the baseline to assess the maturity, and we're expecting this to be launched in the last quarter of this year. Moving quickly along, we have our Virtual E-commerce Accelerator Program, or VEAP. This is a very practical step-by-step e-commerce business model roadmap where essentially we practically take you through several modules to have a fully functioning e-commerce business model. So it's not simply just building an e-commerce website. It's understanding the logistics behind it. It's understanding the digital marketing behind it, the customer acquisition behind it, the customer service behind it. Because when we hear e-commerce, a lot of times we tend to think it's simply buy and sell online. But there is so much more that goes beyond that you don't see, that you don't necessarily think about until you get into it. So there's a lot of work from a practical standpoint to have a successful e-commerce business model. So this is what this program is about. Again, we will be using the digital checkup tool to measure the maturity and collect baseline data so that we can monitor effectively the progress that is being made, such that SMEs can pivot at any point in time, as the case may be. And we're expecting the first 2 cohorts to be launched later on this year in the last quarter.
So I need to ask you to wrap up in like a minute's time, please. Thanks.
Yeah, so this would actually be the last thing here. We understand that we can't simply just tell people, look, this is the information, go and implement. A lot of people just don't have the resources to implement. Hence the reason we are developing our digital transformation grant, which would seek to help close that financial burden for SMEs in implementing these activities across their digital transformation journey, particularly across e-commerce and digital marketing. This is currently under development, and we're hoping to launch either at the end of Q3 or into Q4 of this year. And I will simply end by saying that apart from all these initiatives, we have the Caribbean Investment Forum, where agri-tech entrepreneurs can pitch their ideas for funding and investment. So I will stop there. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to any questions.
Jonathan, thank you very much. This was awesome. I don't want to spend much time, but I must acknowledge that this checkup and these support tools that Caribbean Export has in its arsenal, I think are really key for the advancement of digital marketing and e-commerce systems for agribusinesses. It's regrettable that we don't know more about this, and I'm glad that you came on this platform. So it's an opportunity to promote what you all are doing. So I want to implore businesses, get on board, contact Caribbean Export. This is a game changer. This is an opportunity for you to up your game and adopt some of these technologies and be able to develop, as you heard from the other entrepreneurs earlier. Jonathan, we want to thank you for the presentation, and I want to make a call as well for persons to support the upcoming investment forum. Get more information on it, get involved, make your pitch, participate in the upcoming activity. Thanks again, Jonathan. We want to move on to our next agency, and that is the Caribbean Development Bank, another critical partner. As I said, we're all about partnerships and collaboration to be able to advance agribusiness and enhance food security in the region. I want to introduce my colleague from the Caribbean Development Bank, Miss Allyson Francis. And we've worked together before. It's a pleasure to have her on. Allyson is the operations officer for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises under the private sector division of the Caribbean Development Bank. And at the CDB, Allyson consults with intermediaries and MSMEs to provide guidance, identify technical assistance, and loan products that will significantly impact the enabling environment for private sector development in the region and the overall improve innovative, competitive, and sustainable operations of these businesses in the various partner countries across the region. Now, Ms. Francis holds a Bachelor of Laws from the University of West Indies and a Master of International Law and Economics, magna cum laude from the World Trade Institute in the University of Bern. Ms. Francis is an international trade and development specialist with more than 20 years of experience in developmental work with agribusinesses and other businesses. And she focuses on issues related to market penetration from a legal and technical perspective, project development and management, policy development, advice and guidance, as well as overall capacity building, with particular reference to the private sector in the Caribbean region. And she has been working through business support organizations to provide the support and other NGOs. She brings a wealth of experience to this forum this morning, and I'm really appreciative of the contribution of the Caribbean Development Bank. Ms. Francis, we want to ask you to deliver your presentation, being mindful of our 10-minute challenge. Thank you and welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to share. I'm very mindful of the 10 minutes. You know my limitation as well. So let me go straight into the slide share mode. Slide mode. Okay. So you're seeing the same. You have the same issue as with
As Jonathan, yes. But in just a time, maybe
all right, yes. Let us proceed. Right. So I'm really thankful for this opportunity to be here, and on behalf of the Caribbean Development Bank, it's a pleasure to work with IICA, to continue to partner with IICA. For the bank, the issue of private sector development, issue of the e-commerce is not new. You know, part of our private sector strategy is to improve the development and competitiveness of our private sector, working with the entire ecosystem, looking at it from the legal and distribution, development, etc. So we look at how we enhance the enabling environment. We look at how financial inclusion, access to finance, how we promote enterprise development, and importantly, harmful impacts of climate change, which is really critical for us in our agricultural space. Again, we have been supporting the agriculture, agribusiness over many years and many interventions. As our new president says, it's about innovation, innovation and transformation to thrive. And how we do this in the context of the agriculture is look at, improving our connectivity, and that is related to also e-commerce and our logistics. How do we improve connectivity from farm to, if you talk about from farm to table, we need to move from farm. So we look at a lot of infrastructural development in the member states as well. We look at irrigation, these important issues, climate resilience, looking at climate smart agriculture. So for the Caribbean Development Bank, we have been doing quite a lot of work with the region on development of the agricultural sector and to lead to successful, sustainable agricultural development. Our own our own business climate reform, how we improve the competitiveness of our MSMEs involved. And importantly, we have another program which focuses specifically on she trades, the ladies involved in the agricultural sector. So that she trades program also assists in development of the agribusiness. In the program which I directly worked with, we look at capacity building for the MSMEs and institutional strengthening for the business support organizations that work with our MSMEs to enable them to be better. And this, you know, and as well, we also have partnered with our standby facility, which is a partnership between the Caribbean Development Bank and the European Union. And I'll speak to some of that later. But we also have issues of innovative financing, because we do recognize for MSMEs, one of the critical areas is access to finance. So we look at, you know, financial intermediaries, looking at financing resilient infrastructure, de-risking mechanisms, etc., that we are working with to allow the MSMEs to be able to access finance to move forward. And what we also recognize, you know, as we speak of the issues, and I was really pleased to hear what was happening in the first panel, but it's not only about the platforms that are available. And that's why the other project coming up, we speak to more details. But we have our standby facility, which focuses a lot on in terms of agribusiness again, how the agriculture MSMEs, producers, how they can become more competitive, more resilient, you know, enhancing the sustainability. We look at, again, access to finance, which we feel is critical, looking at aquatic agri-tech innovation and transformation. And so within that program, there are resources and there are calls for proposal. And we're now doing our food safety as well. So there's approximately 9.8 million euros to date. Together, the CDB and the European Union has spent on agricultural development within the region, working through with the member states. And some of these initiatives includes in Suriname, we did a marketing and branding for the MSMEs. We also worked in Antigua on strengthening the capacity to utilize the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement to get your products into the European Union. We have been working with St. Vincent on two projects, one looking at standardization and certification. And this is important because you want to ensure that the products and products that you're going to offer is of the highest standards and qualities. So this is really important for standards and certification. So we also have worked on a food safety certification system for livestock production and trade. In Guyana, we have done some work on the food products and traceability system. I heard, you know, Allister spoke on the situation of traceability, and that's very important. Go right down the chain. So we have been working with member states on traceability and also with Dominican Republic on the export capacity of our agro-processors. Now, there's a major project that we have been engaging on e-commerce, which, as I indicated before, we realize that there are many platforms out there, but what has happened is that persons aren't able to capture or to capitalize on these platforms there in terms of our MSMEs. How do you get on the platform? How do you maintain standards, quality, scalability, to be able to not just be providers of sample or producers of samples, but able to meet your demand. And we also recognize that, you know, there's a large diaspora of persons within North America. As I said here in the slide, over 74.8% are in North America. But there's also high costs and uncertainty in international trade, and we see with the differences and change in tariffs, etc. So how can we facilitate the MSMEs with that? So as well, you have the, I heard it from the persons before in terms of sustaining the e-commerce platform and developing and sustaining. We also recognize that, okay, there's a mechanism out there that we can work with. And so CDB has partnered last year with the Carib Shopper, which is an e-commerce platform that supports over 750 MSMEs, mainly now started off in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, to get for customers going out to USA and Canada. So we developed this project where we want to expand now to beyond Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica to include Grenada, Guyana, St. Lucia, and Barbados, to help the persons to be able to export their products, and also we're hoping that by the implementation of the product and this project, that you'll have, of course, increased number of awareness from our participants in terms of the benefits and access to new markets, access to now, in particular, the Canadian and the whole North American market, USA and Canada market, to increase their sales, increase foreign exchange earning for the MSMEs that will be participating in the project. The project is, and this is a part I think we need to pay some attention on in terms of the components. So besides establishing the operation hubs within these member states, the critical and doing the B2B and the B2C meetup, etc., is the conducting of the diagnostics, which is similar to what Caribbean Export spoke of earlier, but conducting the diagnostics, understanding what it is that these MSMEs need, and what we engage in. A large part of resources is to working with these MSMEs to actually eliminate these difficulties that they have. So we have very targeted technical assistance with these MSMEs, and look at them on their product development, your labeling, your packaging. We look at them on scalability, etc. Work with them on how you network and get your products in. We also think it's important not just to have your product online, but to have a critical part would be your public relations. Persons must be aware. So we also work with them on public relations from the national level as well as the international level. So we have a very comprehensive public relations and marketing strategy where we promote the project, promote the products, etc. So persons can greater benefit and be more aware of this platform or what we have to offer. So the idea here is really and truly to work, as I said, a lot of it is targeted assistance to the MSMEs to be able to get their product online and product of the highest quality, and make sure we have the highest standards. Get your product online, because yes, there are many platforms out there, but it's how persons are able to access a platform. And again, scalability, to be able to consistently provide and produce for the demand that goes out there. So as you increase, we are able to work with you as well. And then we believe, I think I would have spoken already about it in terms of the outcomes where we have the benefits, because we have this platform working with you, there's a direct, there's a cost effectiveness. You have easier access to local and export market. We do the heavy lifting for you as such in your participation in this e-commerce platform, and thereby reducing your barriers to entry. So you do not have to go through the heavy lifting. This is done for you through this project and through the Carib Shopper platform. So obviously there now we improve your operational efficiency. We are helping you to open new growth opportunities for you, to drive demand to the new sectors, drive demand to your products, and really and truly help you to integrate better into the value chains and the market. So while we have the platform, how the platform operates as well, it allows for opportunity for you to learn from each other. And we think that is very important, because networking is always key. And so with that, I think I would have stuck within not just about 10 minutes, but probably 5 minutes to say, thank you very much. But for the Caribbean Development Bank, as I said, it's about how we help you to innovate, transform, and to thrive. And we do believe that e-commerce is a critical part for your agribusiness. We believe that the capacity building of our MSMEs is important for you to be able to capitalize on. It's not just about Carib Shopper platform, but to capitalize on e-commerce opportunities that are out there. And so we have been working on other initiatives, looking at example in our cultural program where we have stimulated e-commerce, and also do grants to development of e-commerce platforms, where we have, an example, we have through 130,000 in grants, we have allowed for the Tamesh Institute of Indigenous Management in Belize. Well, it may be a fashion line, but this is how we work in terms of, with this grant, allow them to establish an e-commerce platform. We work with them on developing products, get onto this platform and for distribution. So it is work like this where Caribbean Development Bank will take you through the steps to ensure that you're not only on the platform, but you're sustainable on the platform and you can really benefit. So I want to say thank you again, and to encourage participants here to look at innovative ways, changing how you operate and the benefits that there are from e-commerce, to transform your operation and to be able to thrive for greater competitiveness and inclusion into the overall value chain. Thank you.
Allyson, thank you very much for this dynamic presentation and for sticking to the time. I think we got some key nuggets there. The work that you all are doing is phenomenal, and the work with Carib Shopper in particular, really admirable. I like the fact that it's going to give us access to new markets, and the key issue highlighted there, sales, because we often talk about accessible markets, but it's actually to get sales, to make money, to get on shelves and to stay on shelves. And I like that you all are, like Caribbean Export, you're all going to do the assessments, you're going to do the capacity building, the training. And something we often neglect is the importance of promotion and the public relations and getting the word out there so that you can get buy-in. And I like that operational logistics hub that you identified, and the importance of training persons in customer service and networking, something that's really lacking. It goes back to something I heard, I think, Shelly saying at the beginning of the session, where that you sell while you're sleeping. And sometimes it's just simply knowing how to interact with customers. So this is awesome. And ultimately, as you say, you all are trying to reduce the effort on the part of the enterprises. You are doing the heavy lifting and addressing entry requirements, etc. So really commendable, and I want to implore the audience, get in touch with the Caribbean Development Bank, get in touch with Caribbean Export. There's opportunities to advance your business. So, Allyson, thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to all the panelists. We want to go to the question and answer period quickly. I'm going to try to summarize the questions and ask persons to respond as quickly as possible because we have limited time. So we're going to start off with some general questions. Generally, colleagues, can you all say if certification has had an impact on the competitiveness of the various businesses? That's one of the questions asked. And also, my colleague Robert Reed from Jamaica has indicated that he has had opportunity to assess fresh produce trading platforms in Jamaica, and given the challenges these platforms face, should the further development of these platforms be public-private sector funded ventures that allow private platforms to grow and public sector support to exist over time? So I want to start off with those general questions and ask the two panels if persons are willing to provide some insights. Over to you all.
Allister, let me just touch on the first question with certification. When it comes to agricultural produce or any sort of produce that went through some sort of manufacturing process, if the intention is specifically to export, you have to have the relevant certifications for the specific markets, whether that be HACCP, FSMA, whatever it may be. I would say to agri-entrepreneurs, if your intention is to export, be very mindful of the market you're going into and the export entry requirements in terms of certification, because that is a very big stumbling block for a lot of exporters, particularly in the food and beverage manufacturing sector across the region.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Jonathan. Any other comments from the panelists?
I want to agree with Jonathan on that, because that's a point I want to make. You have your phytosanitary issues that you'll have to address for your entry into a particular market. So you must, and that's why we talk about the statistics and the market intelligence. And before you start even exporting, you have to know your market. You want to know what are the requirements for your product to enter that market. So market intelligence, sector intelligence is really important, and to emphasize that issue and how we can help the MSMEs to make sure they're aware of that and working along lines of that so that you can get your market in. But I'd love to hear also from the private sector persons that were in the first panel, if that has affected them and how we can better work with them as institutions to ensure that you can get your product into the market. So we talk about market access, but now we want to talk specifically about market penetration, how we get your products into the market.
Great. Let's hear from Shelly, Chavara, Gillian, Agyei.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Our Trinidad-based networks are chemical-free, what people would officially call organic. But we've been working within a framework of something called the Participatory Guarantee Scheme, which is a self-certified scheme that is developing within mainly the Global South, so it's not certified in the same way as a third-party certification, but it has been useful in terms of our local sales. In our international sales, I would say that it's really important if you...
You're muted there, Gillian. We're not hearing you anymore.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, now we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay. To find out the details about what are the exceptions, because most large markets have exceptions where if you are below a certain size, the certification requirements are very, very different. And that includes organic certification, HACCP, and so on. So it's important for us to understand what the lower limit is for those types of activities so we can test out markets without having to go through a lot of the certifications that get in the way.
Okay, thank you. I'll take one more comment from the entrepreneurs because we need to move on. Shelly?
Yes, thank you. So yes, definitely certification is something that has to be taken into consideration if you're going into the US in terms of the FDA or the specific body for Canada. If it's packaged products, there are certain specific labeling requirements for Canada. For example, it usually requires both English and French. So these things are certainly important. There have been stories about people sending containers that are rejected because there have been the wrong labeling requirements. So it's certainly very important. We do have certain agencies here in Jamaica that help us with that. So for example, JAMPRO, their Export Max program that help us understand what those requirements are. And we work with the Ministry of Agriculture and our plant quarantine department in terms of understanding the different phytosanitary requirements when exporting fresh produce to the different countries, whether it's US or Canada or UK.
Thanks for that, Shelly. Let me quickly ask Chavara and Agyei if they have any comments. Quickly though, because we need to move on. Anything from any of you all? Chavara?
Okay. Currently we're not exporting. However, we have prepared ourselves with the standardization certification, the HACCP certification. So we've kept ourselves up with that training, but we're not currently exporting at this time, so it's not necessary. But we are prepared for, you know, when it comes time for us to export.
Okay, thanks for that. Agyei, anything from you? Okay, I'm not hearing Agyei. So I'll move on quickly to two questions for you, Shelly. Shelly, can you tell us what tools or mechanisms does your company use to accept payments from overseas customers? That's one question. And given the trait of farmers in Jamaica not being consistent in meeting their quantity and quality obligations, how has your company addressed this challenge, being a reliable service provider or digital trader?
Thank you, Allister. Okay, so on our website, we have debit card, credit card, and bank transfer as payment options. So if persons from overseas, they can pay with debit or credit. For those transactions, and locally they can use bank transfer. We also accept international wire transfers as well. So those are the traditional ones that are available. In terms of the issue with consistency, so this is one of the things that is our mantra, I like to say. So we actually work very closely with the farmers to guide them on what the market demand is. So we like to talk about demand-based production, which to me, this is really the key to being able to have that consistent supply. So when we have direct customers, if we understand that they require X 100 pounds or X 1,000 pounds of produce weekly, we would work with the farmers to produce accordingly. So we are actually like going out to the buyers and saying, let us grow this for you in advance. So we get the farmers to produce it on a schedule to be able to supply consistently. On the website, that's largely spot buying and selling. So on a marketplace, what pertains there is just whatever is available at the time, people will buy and sell. But we are working closely with farmers to guide them on what to produce, what's the volume that the market requires so that they can plan production accordingly. So that is one of the ways that we have done it. It has been challenging because, as you know, it's not just that the farmers are not being consistent. The bigger problem actually is that the buyers do not have this way of doing business. They are not accustomed to planning in advance to say, okay, I want 1,000 pounds every week, so I'm doing an agreement with you to be able to grow this. They just expect to get the 1,000 pounds of something available that takes 3 months to grow. So it's their challenges on both sides. It's also, you know, having these conversations with the buyers to help them to be more aware of it and to move them into this direction. And we are seeing some success here where they're starting to come to us and say, can you grow this for us? And we're working together to develop that.
Thanks for that, Shelly. Very interesting. The issue of the buyers need to be held more accountable and be more organized. Moving on quickly, though, to Gillian. Gillian, can you tell us what measures you take to combat scams, potential scams? If you could be as brief as possible.
Yeah, I mean, our relationships are deep, long. We're teaching people, people are teaching each other. So it's not as though we just jump in with farmers. We tend to work with farmers groups, which they themselves have long relationships with each other. So I would say that we have never, in the 10 years of business, had an experience of being scammed. What we may have more is differences of understandings of reciprocity. In the Caribbean and the Global South, contracts have not been an issue. We've really done without contracts. But when we started working more in the global north, you can't work in the global north without contracts because their understanding of reciprocity is very, very different. So I wouldn't say it's a scam issue, but I would say there is definitely a cultural gap between what we understand and what you bring to the table as a self-help group.
Thank you for that, Gillian. If time permits, we'll come back to you all. But let me go quickly to Agyei. Agyei, there's a question. Hoteliers generally import lots of produce via brokers. Are you only servicing farmers, not import brokers that have significant influence on the fresh produce value chain in Caribbean countries? So are you dealing with hoteliers? Is Agyei still on? Okay, Agyei may not be on. So let me move on to Jonathan. Jonathan, there's a question. The checkup tool is excellent capacity building, is an excellent capacity building initiative. The associated masterclass series, the VEEP and the grant funding. And the individual asking the question saying, congrats to what you all are doing. And the specific question, does one have to have a digital training operation to participate in the VEEP?
As it pertains to the VEEP, as of now, as I said, it's currently under development. There are different tiers of companies. There are SMEs that don't have a digital presence, they don't have a digital pathway, and then there are those who they have some sort of digital presence but needs to be refined. This iteration of the VEEP program would be for those who have some sort of digital presence to refine that. We are supposed to do multiple cohorts, but for this first 2 cohorts, we will be looking at those companies or SMEs that probably have a website, but they're not fully integrated, but there's something there to be built on because they require a different set of resources and a different sort of help as opposed to companies that starting from, not having a digital presence. So it's about tailoring the support for clusters, different types of clusters of SMEs.
Okay, thanks for that, Jonathan. Maybe I can ask 2 quick questions for everyone. And what is the impact of weather or natural disasters on digital training platforms? For you in the instances here, the presenters here, can you share a bit on that and how you mitigate against that? This was particularly addressed to Shelly, but the others can answer that as well, Chavara and also Gillian, if you are willing, please.
Can you repeat the question, Allister?
Oh, let me go a bit slower. The question was, what is the impact of weather or natural disasters on digital training platforms such as yours, and how do you mitigate against it?
I mean, the way our system is designed, it specifically is designed for resilience. So when we have relationships with people, they are ordering with the possibility of things coming from multiple areas. I would say it's not just the digital platform. The cocoa production in Trinidad dropped by 75% in 2022 and 2023. And now if you're in the cocoa world, in Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, where most cocoa is produced, it dropped by 50% last year. So climate change has made us have to design our system that if people want a 70%, 10 kilos or 20 kilos of a 70%, they may get it from Cameroon, they may get it from Ghana, they may get it from St. Lucia. So the digital platform accounts for that, for the fact that you may have to replace what you're getting because climate change makes crop production extremely unstable.
Thanks for that, Gillian. Chavara?
Hi. Well, I can't speak for the challenges because we haven't really been presented with much challenges. I think the key thing is when you create digital content and it's in it's there, you've already done the work. So it's more reliant on the service provider as opposed to having remote services where you're located. So for us, even though we are an off-the-grid location because we're an off-the-grid farm, we have invested in technology. We've invested in Starlink. We invest in the best quality of internet connectivity that we can get locally so that we are able to stay online as much as possible and keep our website up. Most times it's just keeping up with your provider, making sure that your services you're paid for and your work is done.
Thanks for that, Chavara. Shelly, impact of natural disasters on your platform, and what you'll do to mitigate?
Well, I just wish to clarify, I was understanding the question to be talking about the availability of the supply. Are you asking about the uptime of the platform versus the supply of the produce?
If you could address both in terms of if the disruption in supply, as well as as Chavara just did, in terms of the infrastructure itself.
We have not had much impact on the digital platform itself in terms of natural disasters. That will be impacted on if I guess the Wi-Fi or the data technologies are knocked out. Thankfully, and power outages, of course. So thankfully for Jamaica, we have not had a lot of that over the past several years. There can be some, but it's been a short period of time. And of course, if there is a power outage in Jamaica, that doesn't affect our platform because our servers are not here. So persons would continue to be able to access the platform internationally. The supply, there's definitely an impact on the supply in terms of if there's been damage from things like storms. But generally, we have been able to continue supplying a lot of our products into our customers because we usually have several different farmers and farms that we're working with for a variety of options. So when one farm is down, we're most times able to get the product elsewhere. But of course, then we'll be out for a few weeks, but because we have the continuous schedule, it's not a lengthy period of time before we're able to get back to the customer with supplying.
Thanks for that, Shelly. Before I close off, I just want to ask Agyei to quickly respond to the comment about the hoteliers and if you are servicing hoteliers as well. Agyei, quickly. Hi, Agyei, are you back on? Okay, Agyei probably seems
back on, but he's on mute.
Hi, everybody. Okay. I am back on. The rumors are true. Sorry about just now.
Quickly, though, Agyei, we have to wrap up now. So if you could just respond.
Hoteliers import lots of produce via brokers. We are only servicing farmers, yes. I think for as much as import brokers have a significant influence on the fresh produce value chain, especially in Caribbean countries, I could only speak to Trinidad, Dominica, and St. Vincent where we practice. What we've been able to observe is that brokers tend to, well, if we look at the value that's ultimately delivered between the final price of the goods and the price that the farmer is paid, there's a massive gap that we are trying to address by allowing the farmer to have some of the tools that he would otherwise depend on the broker for. But I don't think we'll ever have a system that is independent of brokers. I mean, frankly, some farmers prefer to work with a middleman, but I think that our work is in particular, especially around empowering farmers who may not absolutely need to have to go through those channels to get their money into their accounts.
Thanks for that, Agyei. Colleagues, thank you very much for these two panels. Excellent session. I have to bring the question and answer period to an end. Please let me indicate that you can access the entire session on the YouTube channel. Feel free to engage us, to ask us more questions, or to engage directly with the presenters here. I want to encourage presenters, if they're interested, to place their contact information in the chat. And of course, as Isolina said, feel free if you're interested in being a presenter, engage us so you can come on one of our sessions. But at this point, I want to bring the session to a close. I'll ask my colleague Isolina to provide some closing comments, and maybe we can just signal the next session. But thank you very much again. This has been a pleasure and opportunity for me to have dialogue with you, and I wish you all the best. Isolina, over to you.
Thank you, thank you. I will not do any closing remarks because it has been very, very rich, and in the interest of time, I just highlight that indeed we will send all the information. We also do highlights, which will have the key summary and the key, points here. So I will not do it now. I thought as well, Allister, that from the discussion, what we can look as a IICA-COLEAD and others, obviously, is a bit of a guide on what platforms are in the Caribbean, in the different forms that can be interest to our community. We can also look, of course, at the trainings that we have already ourselves and others, Caribbean Export, CDB, and so on, and put them all, share them in the highlights. We have a section for trainings, capacity development is a key one in this, especially, of course, for MSMEs and for smallholders, and also looking at the finance part. And in looking at the type of platforms we have, it will answer the question of Robert Reed, the last one on the public and private platforms. I mean, many are actually public and private with all sorts of, as well, of opportunities and eventual problems. And the other part is also the equity. Some, looking a bit more on the ones that focus on, for example, women-led entrepreneurs or youth or are led by youth, young entrepreneurs. I think we can do that in the material we will forward together with the invitation to the next session. So it has been very interesting. Thank you very much to all, and thank you to the teams, to the interpreters teams of IICA, the presenters, of course, and colleagues. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Have a great one. Thanks for joining.
Keep well. Bye-bye.